Now, in terms of Jay-Z Knight, has she ever, while she's channeling Ramtha, has she ever had an MRI to actually track blood flow and like area the
She
brain
had
usage?
in 1995 through early 97, there was a whole team of scholars that studied her, studied the school, the philosophy, interviewed students, did a number of biometric testing. They tested her. They evaluated her EEG, blood flow, 8-channel galvanic SIN response, that whole thing, in her baseline awake state, her eyes closed, resting state, and then when she left her body and Ramtha took over operating the body and measured the physiological changes in her body, and they put her through that cycle 3 times. And their conclusions were, the results, the data was very dramatic, and they had, they had done gurus and shaman and yogis, and they had always, they had seen dips in physiological response and cerebral changes and EEGs and blood flow, but they had never seen anything quite as dramatic as what they did, or what she did. And she said, it's because I leave my body. I'm not going into a trance.
Sure,
I'm not going into alpha or theta. I'm leaving my body. You're going to see a corpse here for a moment. And then Ramtha, his mind, his consciousness is going to take over my body and operate it from the back of the hindbrain, the cerebellum.
But this exacts a toll, right? A physiological toll in terms of boosting up heart rate, using system resources more exhaustively, things like that.
Yeah, it does. It's because the body's in delta, which the body in delta is the comatose state, and yet Ramtha, he fires up the adrenals, he fires up the heart rate, and he operates, and he's up and talking and walking and dancing and teaching for hours at a time. And originally, he would use Jay-Z's body for a couple of hours, and then she would come back and she would rest and recover, and it'd be 3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 weeks often before she was able to, to leave her body again, to get up enough energy and then recover from the, the marathon that her body had been put through.
Well, I guess one of the questions is there a point where it would be too costly for her to continue channeling? Is there a point, and maybe Ramtha has timed this, is there a point where he's suggested that he may feel comfortable that he's taught enough that it can go on without him?
Well, that's 2 different questions, and I'll answer the second one first. He has always said that as long as the students, the people that are studying his message, are applying it and gaining experiences from that, so it's no longer just collecting philosophy that could become a religion or a dogma, that then he can teach more information based on the experiences that people have garnered, so that it's experience-based knowledge. And on several occasions, he has come out at an event, say 6 months after a previous retreat, and said, you didn't do anything with the knowledge I gave you 6 months ago. What am I going to teach you? You haven't had the experiences that I said that you could have had, so I'm not going to keep teaching you.
It's kind of a stepwise path.
It is. It's stepwise because he wants it to be experiential. And it's up to us to do the work, not just simply enjoy the philosophy.
Well, could you tell me a little bit about some of the physical, and I know that Ramtha himself would say that these aren't, as many prophets have, if you have to see the magic tricks, then you're missing the entire point. But could you describe a few of the things that you've seen in terms of superhuman, extra-human capabilities?
In terms of Ramtha demonstrating that in Jay-Z's body, or in terms of the students doing it themselves?
Well, in terms of Ramtha himself, I think.
Okay, well, let's see. I think, for example, teaching for 12 hours when the heart's racing at 180 beats per minute, and nonstop without a script and without notes and without PowerPoint slides, and a continuous stream of information that's coherent and complete, and no potty breaks and no food breaks, to the point that the audience, for as long as they could sustain that level of knowledge and information, eventually were just saturated.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that is, that is a superhuman feat.
Literally overwhelming and saturating for the audience,
Yeah.
and yet superhumanly taxing for the presenter. Well, in terms of, Ramtha's written about levitation and gravity control and a number of different things that we've really seen hide nor hair of in terms of psychic abilities for the rest of us. So,
he has taught about those as within the realm of human capability, and talked about historical examples from Jesus or Apollonius of Tyana, who's in the records of the Roman Senate, And he has talked about modeling how to develop that skill, and there have been some students that have had experiences with levitating, that have had experiences with teleporting or bilocating from one place to another. Some have been witnessed, but right now, as it stands within the context of the student body, there's nobody consistently being able to do that skill on demand. So at this stage, for those that have had the experience, for those that have witnessed people having those experiences, it's exciting, it's compelling, but we're none of us at this point Olympic class mind athletes that can simply walk out and do those kinds of feats, you know, in front of a skeptical audience. But that will come. There was a time in the simple, you know, field work or in archery where the concept of simply, you know, doing this activity blindfolded and achieving the target or even hitting the hay bale was, you know, it's like, no way. But now, it's doable.
Yeah, well, and from what I saw, you are a heck of a lot closer to that hay bale than I am. You know,
Practice.
I was out and left.